And I also spoke to Labour's Shadow Foreign Secretary, Emily Thornberry. And I started by asking her whether Jeremy Corbyn taking part in the debate plays into those Tory warnings of a coalition of chaos.
Well, I think that's probably the desperate attempts of Conservative Party Central Office to try and spin this. But you know what? I think that if I was Amber Rudd, I would be going back to Theresa May and saying, you really owe me. You know, I'm in front of all those people and I say, judge us on our record. And people laughed. And I had to be there and front that up. And you should have been there to front that up because you're supposed to be the Prime Minister. You're supposed to be the one who's strong and stable. You're the one who's supposed to be so, able to negotiate Brexit. And yet you're not even prepared to debate with people.
I still just want to push a little harder on the coalition of chaos line, because at the last election, many thought it was rather effective. And the polls, which have had this surge for Labour, the polls perhaps suggest a hung parliament is more likely than we'd thought. And that means there could be a coalition led by the Labour Party.
You know what I'm going to say, Evan? We don't believe the polls. We don't pay attention to polls. What we're doing is we're out there to win it. We do sense on the ground that things are beginning to change and that they want to listen to us and that they do see that there is an alternative, and an alternative which is a potential government that has a vision for Britain and is about hope and is about an alternative. It does not have to be this way, and the power is in the hands of people, and they can decide that no, despite the fact that you guys in the media and everywhere else has all been saying, oh, Theresa May is gonna walk it, it's just a question of how big a majority is going to be. No, it's up to the people to decide.
Indeed.
And the people are beginning to listen to us and realise that we are a serious alternative. It does not have to be like this.
OK, no, point made. So you can just clarify for the hypothetical situation in which it is a hung parliament, that Labour will not have a coalition agreement with the Scottish National Party, correct? We can take that as read. That will not happen, and you can be clear about that now, and it will be a breach of that promise if there is one after the election.
I'm not dealing with hypotheticals with you. I'm sorry. We're 9 days out from an election.
It's a perfectly reasonable question.
Because we're fighting this to win. Because we want to have a majority in the House of Commons, and we want to be the next government, and we are putting forward our alternative to the British people, and it's for them to decide which government they want. Because one thing's for sure, it's either going to be a Labour government or a Conservative government, and that's how it is.
Right. So it is very interesting that you won't rule out a coalition with the SNP, and anybody listening to you will say, if we don't agree with Emily Thornberry that it may be a hung parliament, then we'd be right to think they will do a deal with the SNP.
We put our faith in the British people and in our ability to be able to put forward our arguments and our alternative vision. And the fact is, this is the biggest star that we have in our show, which is a series of ideas and an alternative vision for Britain.
Okay, let me just take a couple of points in there. If you want to wave the manifesto. The manifesto says it is very carefully costed. It's not that funny. It says it's very carefully costed.
I'm laughing because I know you're going to start asking me numbers.
I'm not going to do the thing. Believe me, I'm not going to do the testing. I'm trying to test you on your numbers. I'm not. However, there are some policy areas. There are some policy areas where it's simply not costed. Are benefits going to be uprated or not? Because working age benefits, on Monday, Jeremy Corbyn said they would be, but there's no cost in there for that. That's not a costed manifesto, is it?
If we have the great honour of taking over as the next government, we will need to go into the Department of Work and Pensions and look at, I'm afraid, the chaos that is currently universal credit. And we need to look again at how well it is working, how fair it is, and how the cuts will be affecting real people's lives. And we've set aside £2 billion a year in order to be able to look again at universal credit and sort it out and make sure that it is fair. There are a series of benefits that we will stop the cuts of, and I can reel them off if you want. It starts with the bedroom tax and how unfair that is.
But no, just the uprating of benefits. Some of your power plans are carefully costed and they're there. The uprating of benefits is not costed and is quite expensive. I just wanted to be clear that that is one you basically changed on the hoof. You've U-turned on your manifesto. It's not in there. Corbyn on the TV says it is, and that's a difference to your manifesto.
The reason that we put into the manifesto the focus on universal credit is because this is now the vehicle under which people will be getting their benefits, and we need to make sure that it is done fairly and properly.
Emily Thornberry, we're out of time. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us.